Okay, welcome to the May 22nd, 2023 meeting of the Ann Arbor District Library Board of Trustees. Have we taken attendance? Yeah, thank you. And can I have a motion for a closed session for the discussion of the director's evaluation?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's a roll call.
Thank you for stopping me. All right, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, trustee Hadley,
Yes.
trustee Kleinman,
Yes.
trustee Leon,
Yes.
trustee Solomon,
Yes.
trustee Silva,
Yes.
trustee Trudeau,
Yes.
trustee Vanderbroek.
Yes.
Okay, we'll recess to closed session and we'll be back here in this room at 7 p.m.
Friday night took care of my weekday blues. I woke up at breakfast and read the news. I'm feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. But I feel like there's something I'm forgetting to do.
Hey, Toby, the show's about to start.
Oh, yeah. It's a Saturday show. 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 It's a Saturday show.
Art! Beautiful day, isn't it, Toby?
Breakfast is served, fellas. Bon appetit.
This looks good, Fred. You're really coming into your own with your cooking.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah, Fred, some of the dishes you've made have been top notch.
Aw, thanks, big guy. I've been trying real hard to hone my skills. I think I've even gotten better at making human food. That one there is called Toad in the Hole.
Where'd you learn to make this one, Fred?
I picked that one up from one of my cooking classes.
You're taking cooking classes, Fred?
Absolutely, Otto. My goal is to be the best frog chef there ever was.
An admirable goal, if I do say so myself.
Thank you, Otto.
So, Fred, what are you going to do with the rest of your day?
Well, I wanted to ask you guys a question.
Go for it, Fred.
Well, there's a girl in my cooking class. Her name is Tasha, and well,
Do you like her, Fred?
I kinda do, Toby, but I got a problem.
What kind of problem?
Oh, it's not a big problem, just kind of a small problem, but it could be a big problem if,
Fred, what is it?
well, Tasha said she wanted to go visit an art museum with me.
That's great, dude.
Yeah, except I don't know very much about art, and I'd like to impress her.
Sounds like you do like her, Fred.
Toby, be nice. And don't worry, Fred, I have an idea. Let me make a few phone calls, and Toby, you can introduce the word of the day.
Well, you heard him, folks. Up next is Kashi and Christopher with the word of the day.
Hey Kashi, how's my portrait coming along?
It's coming along fine. Number 5 paintbrush, please.
There you go. You must really like art, don't you, Kashi?
Number 2, please. Oh yeah, I love all kinds of art.
Here you go. You know, Kashi, I can't wait to see my portrait.
Oh yeah, you might be kind of surprised by it. Can I have the pink marker, please?
Sure, here you go.
Thank you.
Kashi, do you like going to museums?
I love art museums, especially sculpture. Can I have the scissors, please?
Okay, But be careful with these, all right, Kashi? And hey, while you're working, I think we should do the word of the day. And you know, I have to leave pretty soon to go on an art walk with Big Fred and the rest of the Saturday Show gang. Hey, there you go. Thanks. Do you want to activate Lexi?
Oh, sure.
Well, let's see what the word of the day is, Kashi. Do you need a hand? Do you know what that says?
It says abstract.
That's right. It does say abstract. Do you know what abstract art is?
Well, kind of, not really.
Abstract art is a kind of representation that some people say is not very realistic looking.
Oh,
Yeah.
that might be a good word for my picture.
Okay. And you know, today's episode is all about art. Hey, are you almost ready to show the painting?
Yes, I am almost ready. Wait, I am ready.
But first, I think we should do the summer game code, don't you?
Okay.
Here it is. It's 7 letters. It's a word from French, and it means to take a bunch of stuff and usually you glue them all together and you make a brand new piece of art from the collection.
Oh, wow, there's a word for that?
That's right. And if you think you know the answer, you can go to play.aadl.org for big points. That's right. All right, shall we take a look?
Yep, I'm ready.
Great. Wow, Kashi, it's wonderful. I love it. And I think I can see a likeness of myself in there. You know, though, I've got to run because I've got to go join the Saturday Show Art Walk. I'll see you next time. So long.
Okay, Fred, to aid you on your quest, I've arranged for you to meet with the gang at this location.
Oh, thanks, Otto. Should I bring anything with me?
Just a sharp eye, my friend.
Do you want us to go with you, Fred?
That's okay, Toby. You know I'm a pretty independent fella. And anyways, you guys have the show to host.
Yeah, Toby, Big Fred will be A-OK.
Sounds good to me.
Well, I'm gonna take off my apron and head out. You fellas have a good show.
See you soon, Fred.
Where'd you send him off to, Otto?
He's going to meet up with the gang for an art walk.
Ooh, sounds like fun.
I hope it is. So, Toby, what do we have next?
I thought you'd never ask, bud. Since Fred's going on an art walk and then going to the art museum, I think today's episode should be all about art. And I've got the perfect person to kick us off. Lucy's got an awesome social art project that everyone can do at home. Check it out.
Hi, I'm working on this really cool project where I am making these miniature works of art called Artist Trading Cards, or ATCs. ATCs were started as a conceptual art project by the Swiss artist M. Vinci Sternemann in 1997. He wanted to create an art project that required people to work together, required collaboration.
You can make artist trading cards with any arts or crafts materials that you have around. There are only 2 rules. First, cards must be 2.5 by 3.5 inches. This is the same size as a baseball card or a Pokemon card. And you should sign and date your cards on the back. Otherwise, you can do whatever you want.
You can trade your finished cards with other ATC makers, or you can just work on building a collection of your own. Have fun.
What is it? It's made mostly of wood, but it also has a metal rod and some screws. It can move, and it's shaped like a human. What is it?
Hi, Fred! Thank you guys so much for meeting me out here. I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about art.
You're welcome, Fred. Great to see you, Fred.
This is gonna be fun, Fred.
Art walk!
Are you guys ready to go? Let's go see some art!
I think I'm ready to go. Let's see what's what.
Art walk!
So Fred, this was made in 1968 from Tony Rosenthal, a UM alumnus, and it's one of 5 in the country, and it's called the Endover, and it's one of my favorite places to meet in public, and it's also spinning and turning.
Oh, Christopher, you gotta be careful, man. Let me help you out.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Murals are so big! And this one, it's so blue!
All right, I think I'm getting the hang of this. Look, art.
Yeah, Fred, this is art.
Gonna see some stuff that you wouldn't wear.
too? It looks like a doorway or something.
Yeah, Fred, this is definitely art. Art doesn't have to be a drawing or a painting or a photograph. It can be...
What about this? Is this art? I'm starting to understand this art thing. Thank you so much, everyone. It seems like art is everywhere. You just have to know to look for it.
Good luck, Fred. Have fun at the museum.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Anusri. One of my favorite paintings is Vincent van Gogh's bedroom in Arles. I love the story behind it and also the fact that Van Gogh loved painting everything around him. In this case, it was his new bedroom in a new town he had just moved to. Van Gogh was so happy and hopeful to be here, so he wanted to make a picture of his new room for his brother. This room is really simple, but Van Gogh painted it using really bright colors to show just how special it was to him. In fact, Van Gogh loved this painting so much that he ended up painting it 3 different times. Each time just slightly different. So if you look at all 3 of them at once, it's like playing Spot the Difference. One of my favorite paintings I've ever made is called Rituals Plants. I wanted to paint something that I really enjoy doing. And for me, that's both painting and working with plants. I had so much fun painting all the many little leaves and all the details in this painting. I hope you like it.
Hi, my favorite artist is Romare Bearden. My favorite piece by him is called The Conversation. The favorite piece that I've made is called She of Tranquility.
Let's take a draw break. Now this draw break takes time and patience, but if you stick with it, you'll have a very cool optical illusion at the end. You'll need a hard surface, a piece of paper, and a pencil. Fold that sheet of paper in half. Then draw a gentle curving line across the middle of it. Really make sure the curves are gentle and not too steep. Next, draw 8 dots along this line, spaced at all different distances from each other. Now draw bumps to connect each of these dots along the top and along the bottom. Great. Now pick one of these bumps, it doesn't need to be this one, and camp out on it. Start and end at the same 2 dots and keep drawing bumps extending out from them. As the bumps grow bigger and bigger, you'll notice that the sides grow darker and darker as you travel the same path back up and back down again and again. Now these bumps might balloon out a little bit or start to wobble off to one side. That's great. Okay, now grab a scrap sheet of paper and slip it underneath your drawing page. Continue to draw those bumps right off the edge of the page, like this. Perfect. Now pick a new bump somewhere else on the page and camp out there. Pretty soon you'll notice that in some places you only have space to cram in a few extra bumps. That's okay too. Some bumps balloon out and others get pinched off. Wherever you can, extend your drawing right off the page. Pretty soon you have yourself a wild and crazy design. Cool, huh?
Now you can keep your optical illusion as is, or you can add shadow or colors to make it really pop. Thanks for taking a draw break with me.
I've always loved art philosophy. For example, what is art? Are we art? Is art art?
A shark? You have a phone call. It's art.
Hey, Kashi!
Hi, Sally.
I've got a joke for you!
Okay.
What does Salvador Dali have for breakfast?
What does Salvador Dali have for breakfast? I don't know.
A bowl of cereal!
Hey, Katie, I got a joke for you.
Okay.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Art.
Art who?
R2D2.
Ha! Yes, funny.
Yeah.
What is it? It's a wooden mannequin. Artists use these to help them draw the human figure. They can be posed all different sorts of ways. A mannequin.
Otto, did Fred make it back from his art walk?
He sure did, Toby. He's getting ready for his museum visit. Tasha is going to be here any minute.
Ooh, Fred and Tasha sitting.
Toby,
What?
be professional.
Okay.
Was that the door? I'll get it. It's probably for me. Hi, Tasha.
Hi, Fred. You're looking dapper today.
Oh, thanks. You're looking nice as well.
Thank you, Fred. Well, are you all ready to visit the Fart Museum?
Did you say we're going to the Fart Museum?
Fred, don't worry. I was just kidding. There's no such thing as a fart museum.
I like her, Otto.
Oh, good. So the art museum then.
Absolutely. I can't wait to go.
All right, fellas, I'm off. I'll see you later.
Bye, Fred.
Bye, Tasha. Have fun. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Today is the day I get to go camping. Gotta get Toby. Toby? No. Toby? No. Toby? Ah, there you are.
Oh, hey, Otto. You ready to go?
I certainly am, Toby. Do you have everything packed?
I have everything except your to-go bag. Do you have that?
Yep, I put it by the front door. I've got my clothes and my fishing pole and my hat. I'm all set to see the great state of Michigan.
All right. Seems like we're almost ready to go. There's one more thing to do. We've got to call Lucy and make sure she's got everything she needs to host the show.
I'm on it.
phone? Hello?
Hi, Lucy. Oh boy, am I excited. Me and Toby are going camping today.
Oh, I'm glad you're finally getting to go, Otto.
Thanks, Lucy. And do you have everything you need to host the show?
I sure do. As a matter of fact, I was just reading a book about Michigan.
Glad to know you're prepared, although I didn't expect anything else. I hope you have fun hosting the show. Bye!
It's a Saturday show. 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 It's a Saturday show.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Saturday Show. Was that my doorbell? Hold on a second. I better get that. Hello? Hello? You're a flamingo. In Michigan.
I'm Clarissa. I left my home in the Caribbean 5 days ago.
The Caribbean? That's quite a distance. You want to come in? So it sounds like you flew from a very great distance to get here.
I, as a flamingo, can fly over 350 miles at one time. I stopped here today because I saw all this water from up above. What is this place?
Well, this is Michigan.
Michigan? Tell me all about it. Food, water sources, culture?
Well, Clarissa, I'm not from Michigan either. But you know, I have an idea about who we could ask. I bet that the Saturday Show friends could help us out. What is it that you want to know?
Absolutely everything.
Well, we'll start with my friends Kashi and Christopher, who will tell us the word of the day.
Word of the day? How quaint.
Marco!
Polo!
Marco!
Polo!
Marco!
Polo!
Hey, Kashi, there you are.
Oh, hi, you found me.
I did, and look who else I found.
Oh, hi, Lexi.
It's Lexi. You know, Kashi, we're filming on location today. Location in Michigan. Because this episode is all about Michigan.
Where are we?
Well, we're at the Peony Garden in Ann Arbor on the campus of the University of Michigan, and the peonies are just about to pop.
Oh, wait, so we're in a garden full of flowers called peonies?
That's right, and they're going to be so beautiful. I just love it here. Are you ready for our word of the day?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk to Lexi and see what she's got for us. Well, let's see what it says. Can you read this, Kashi?
It says pawpaw.
That's right, it does say pawpaw.
What's a pawpaw?
Well, a pawpaw is a delicious fruit. You have to wait until it gets a little bit soft. And it's also a city in southwest Michigan.
Oh.
And are you ready for the summer game code?
I am.
Okay, here it is. It's 9 letters.
Wow.
And it means a piece of land that's surrounded on 3 sides by water.
Oh.
And Michigan is very famous for it.
Oh, I
For
see.
both of them. All right. Well, if you think you know the answer, you can go to play.aadl.org for... That's right. Until next time, happy Michigan. Polo!
So, Michigan is very large. Was there something specific that you wanted to learn about?
Did you know that the beautiful color of my feathers comes in large part from what I eat? I am very curious to know what kind of foodstuffs are grown locally so that I may think about enhancing my brilliant plumage. Perhaps some rich hued fruit?
Michigan does have a rich history of food and agriculture. Let's check in with a shark to learn more about this.
Hey, it's a shark, wandering around Michigan, trying to find some snacks for Clarissa. Let's take a look at the ground to see if there's any shrimp or fish to munch on. What's this? A tiny dolphin brain?
No, a shark. That's what humans call an apple.
Thanks, Farmer Pete, whoever you are. And do humans often eat them?
Well, sure. Have a bite.
Yum, that was delicious. And where does such a apple come from? Are there more?
Why, sure there are, a shark. In this special part of West Michigan, we're surrounded by apple trees. They grow easily in this fertile area called the Fruit Ridge.
Wow. So, are you telling me that the Fruit Ridge was formed millions of years ago when glaciers pushed the land into gentle rolling hills, leaving behind clay loam soils with superior moisture holding qualities, and because of its proximity to Lake Michigan, provides a unique climate that is ideal for growing fruit and vegetables?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
What a fruity wonderland, Farmer Pete. Well, Clarissa, it's an all-you-can-eat apple buffet over here on West Michigan's Fruit Ridge.
How wonderful! So many different types of apples to give a boost to my chromatic feathers.
Is your curiosity being satisfied so far?
Well, you've scratched the surface, but I'd like to know more.
Do you like guessing games?
What is it? This delectable-looking dish is a favorite of many Michiganders. We start with a steamed hot dog bun and add a grilled hot dog, some Detroit-style chili, remember kids, no beans, and then top it all off with a greasy helping of yellow mustard and chopped onions. Use a fork if you want, but if you don't, make sure to have plenty of napkins on hand. Bon appetit!
That concoction is confounding, dear. But anyway, did you know that my fellow flamingos and I are wading birds? In fact, it was the very sight of all that water that caused me to alight here in Michigan. What can you tell me about this abundance of water?
You know, Clarissa, I'm pretty sure that Lauren is in the water right now. I think he'd be the perfect person to tell us more.
Wow, it's a beautiful day out on the river today, Hazel.
Absolutely. We're so lucky to have the Huron River running right through Ann Arbor.
We really are. It's so fun to paddle the rapids near Argo Park and then just float on down the river here to Gallup.
The air is fresh, the scenery is pretty, and if you keep your eyes out, there's plenty of wildlife to spot.
Like muskrats.
I'm glad you remembered them, Lauren. Also many feathered friends like sandhill cranes, great egrets, and barred owls. And here at Gallup, there are swans, mallard ducks, and Canada geese. And I don't know if you've noticed, but you can also find another species here at Gallup Park today. Human beings. Like you, Lauren.
Yep. What have you observed about us humans, Hazel?
Well, they can be messy at their picnics. Luckily, we squirrels are around to remind them to be tidy.
Thank you for that, Hazel. Okay, back to the water. Here in Michigan, we're lucky to be surrounded by great bodies of water as well as have lots of water inland. You probably know the names of our 5 Great Lakes.
Yes, that's easy. The acronym HOMES helps me remember them. Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior.
That's right. Here's a tricky question. Which of the Great Lakes does our Huron River empty into?
Yes, that is a tricky one. It's Lake Erie.
Correct as usual. Okay, Hazel, do you know which Great Lake doesn't border the state of Michigan?
I've studied my geography. That's Lake Ontario.
Correct again. Besides the Great Lakes that are bordering us, Michigan has more than 26,000 inland lakes and more than 120 major rivers flowing through it.
Of course, we have to mention Tequamanon River Falls, Michigan's largest waterfalls, and the emerald waters of Kitchity-Kippy, Michigan's largest freshwater spring. Both are in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Cool! Meanwhile, down here in southeast Michigan, I'm getting hungry. Let's head for shore.
Okay, let's paddle on.
Splendid! I'll have no trouble at all finding a lagoon or two in which to soak my ankles. And maybe some new feathered friends. I do wonder how Michigan came to have such a wealth of water.
The answer to that, Clarissa, lies in the deep and distant past.
Boy, Toby, it's so beautiful out here. I'm so glad we got a chance to go camping.
Me too, Otto. I'm really enjoying relaxing out here. I love hearing the birds and other animals walking around.
Toby, what's that? I hear something rustling in the bushes over there.
I don't know. What do you think it is?
Hey, guys.
It's Brian. Hey, Brian, what are you doing out here?
I was just looking for a good sit spot to watch some birds. Looks like you guys found a good one.
Thanks for joining us at the campfire, Brian.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
Hey, Brian, do you have any spooky stories or chilling tales you could tell us?
Chilling tale, huh? Yeah, I know a chilling tale. And it happened right in this very spot. Ish. Do you want to hear it?
Ooh, you bet I do, Brian. Go ahead.
All right.
Once upon a time, in a distant geologic epoch known as the Ice Age, All of this land was covered for millions of square miles around by an enormous stretch of glacial ice, what we call the Laurentide Ice Sheet. Over the course of some 2.5 million years, this massive continental glacier carved and sculpted much of the features and geology of the lands we know today as Canada and the northern United States, including right here in the land of Michigan. Its advances and retreats gave this land its famous shape, determined the composition of many of our soils, and excavated the Great Lakes basins, as well as thousands of other smaller lakes and waterways that this region is known for. Later in this era, megafauna like the mastodon and the woolly mammoth roam these lands, and their fossilized remains can still be found buried in the earth around these parts. In fact, in the fall of 2015, a local Chelsea farmer found the bones of a woolly mammoth in his fields just 10 miles southeast of Ann Arbor. It's thought that the remnants of this colossal ice retreated from the Lake Superior Basin only some 10,000 years ago. That's a long, long time for human beings and turtles, but in Earth time, that ain't nothing. And remnants of the ancient Laurentide can still be found to this very day in the glaciers on Baffin Island, high in the Canadian Arctic.
Oh boy, Brian, that tale of the glaciers made me chilly just hearing it. Toby, do you think we can start a campfire?
Absolutely, bud. I'll get right on it.
Campfire, huh? Oh, that reminds me. I got something.
Oh, what did you bring with you, Brian? A fossil or something else really cool?
Well, it's just an old marshmallow I've been carrying around with me. It's kind of fossilized.
No matter. Get a stick and throw that thing on the fire.
How chilling! Well, now that we have the essentials covered, I'd love to learn more about what makes Michigan special. Little trinkets of information that tell me more about the culture.
It's a Coney dog.
Not exactly what I had in mind. I was thinking more about cultural details. I just like to glean as much factual knowledge about a place as I can. Oh, my thirst for knowledge is prodigious.
It does sound like you know your way around a thesaurus. Speaking of learning from books.
Hey, Katie, check out this cool book all about Michigan.
I love Michigan. That's where we live.
Look, there's a whole section on Michigan state symbols.
Wow, there's so many of them.
Yeah, but it's almost lunchtime, so maybe we should just read about some of them for now.
Good idea, George. Let's start here with the robin. The robin is Michigan state bird.
It has been the state bird since 1931. Hey, how about this other animal? Michigan state reptile is the painted turtle.
I bet Otto loves this symbol.
Yeah, we should ask him about it later.
Okay, here, look. Michigan state fish, the brook trout.
They can only live in cool, clean water and can be found in many of Michigan's lakes, rivers, and streams.
Woo! Look at this pretty rock.
Oh, I know that one. That's the Podolsky Stone, Michigan State Stone. A podolsky is a fossil colonial coral. These corals live in warm, shallow seas that covered Michigan during Devonian time, some 350 million years ago.
Wow! Podolsky stones are easily found on the beaches and inland streams of northern Michigan.
Look, Michigan's first official state symbol was the apple blossom, designated as the official state flower in 1897. Michigan is known for their production of apples, and Papyrus coronaria bloom on crabapple trees every spring.
That sure is a pretty flower. And now I'm even more hungry.
Me too. I hope we have apples. Let's read one more page and then eat. Hey Katie. See Quercus peninsula omanum circumspice.
What?
It's the state motto in Latin.
I don't know Latin. Here, let's read it the other way.
If you seek a pleasant peninsula,
look about you.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Hey Katie, how about this one? If you seek lunch, look in the kitchen.
Ha! You're funny. Okay, let's go find some apples.
Michigan seems like it could be a nice place to stay for a while. I'm especially enjoying these comfortable environs. When I was flying over it, Michigan seemed to be so big.
It is pretty big. Only 10 of the 50 states are bigger than Michigan in area. Another reason why it might look so big from above is that it's made up of 2 peninsulas separated by the Straits of Mackinac. It's the only state that's made of 2 peninsulas.
2 peninsulas? Straits? Well, how fortunate that I can fly great distances so that I might easily get from one peninsula to the other. I do wonder how humans are able to make this crossing.
Who can we ask? I know. Let's check in with Allison. I bet she could answer this question.
Hey, Clarissa. That's a really good question. Let's take a closer look.
Michigan is the only state in the U.S. that is made up of 2 peninsulas, or pieces of land that are almost entirely surrounded by water. We call ours the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula, and the 4-mile-long stretch of water between them are called the Straits of Mackinac. That's where our story takes place.
It used to be incredibly hard to cross the Straits of Mackinac to get from one peninsula to the other. And in the 19th century, this area became a very important transport hub due to the exploitation of natural resources and an increase in tourism.
But in 1923, the State Highway Department started ferry service. These large boats carried people, cars, and goods from one place to another. During the winter, the Straits of Mackinac freeze over. Railroad icebreakers were used during the cold months to break through massive ice flows.
The ferry service was really popular, and every year, more and more people wanted to use the ferry service. In 1955, the ferry carried over 900,000 vehicles.
The ferry service grew to be so popular that they quickly couldn't keep up with demand. Traffic backups could stretch as long as 16 miles.
It proved that if you provided a connection between the peninsulas, people would use it. And so, it was decided after many years of failed attempts that Michigan would build a 5-mile-long bridge to connect their peninsulas.
Building the Mackinac Bridge was a lot of hard work. But after more than 3 years of construction, the Mackinac Bridge finally opened on November 1st, 1957. And when it opened, ferry service between Mackinac City and St. Ignace ended. The Mackinac Bridge remains the longest suspension bridge with 2 towers between anchorages in the Western Hemisphere, and it's currently the 5th longest suspension bridge in the world. And in 2009, the Mighty Mac celebrated its 150 millionth vehicle crossing. The Mackinac Bridge is an iconic marvel of engineering and a mighty symbol of innovation that all Michiganders can be proud of. As then Governor G. Menon Williams stated at the opening day ceremony for the Mackinac Bridge, Michigan at last is to be one state geographically, economically, and culturally. Where nature divided us, we have bound ourselves together with this web of steel. This mighty bridge, the world's greatest, is a symbol of our strength.
Michigan is good. Michigan is grand. Michigan is shaped just like a mitten on your hand. Michigan is grand. Michigan is good. Michigan will love you back just like a great state should. And you can see all the apple trees, and you can feel all the Petoskey's, and you can live the peninsula dream. Michigan is good. Michigan is grand. Michigan is shaped just like a mitten on your hand. Michigan is grand. Michigan is good. Michigan will love you back just like a great state should. And you can swim upon a great lake beach, and you can cross the mighty Mackinac Bridge, and you can live the peninsula dream. Michigan is good. Michigan is grand. Michigan is shaped just like a mitten on your hand. Michigan is grand. Michigan is good. Michigan will love you back just like a great state should.
That settles it. Do you have room for a pink feathered friend?
Are you asking to stay with me, Clarissa?
Well, I do need a place to stay, and your home is quite wonderful.
I think we can make room for you.
Marvelous! Now, what time is tea served? You can bring it to me in the tub. Where's the tub?
Well, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed our Ode to Michigan. If you'd like more information, you can go to aadl.org/The Saturday Show. And if you'd like to drop us a line, you can send an email to tss@aadl.org. So, until next time,
I take that tea now.
Keep on flying.
Day of the year, the official start of summer is here. Staying up late watching baseball games, watering the garden and hoping that it rains. The temperature here is about 89. Look at the barometer and watching it climb. Hanging with your friends at the park or the swap meet. Hot enough to fry an egg on the concrete. Find a log, hop on, sit in the sun all day. or sit in the shade, sipping on some lemonade. Grab your pals and head to the pool. It's so hot, even cucumbers aren't cool. Garden salads and running through a slip and slide. Are you kidding me? It's even hotter inside. Open up the windows to let the breeze through. 2 miles an hour so everybody sees you. Summertime is my favorite time. Enjoying the sunshine, sitting outside. Summertime is my favorite time. Enjoying the sunshine and sitting outside. Summertime is really, really hot. Really, 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 really hot. Summertime is really, really hot. Really, 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 really hot. Summertime is my favorite time. Enjoying the sunshine, sitting outside. Summertime is my favorite time. Enjoying the sunshine and sitting outside. Summertime is really, really hot. Really, 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 really hot. Summertime is really, really hot. Did I say it was hot? It's really hot. Yeah, Toby, you said it was hot.
Summer. A little more. A little more. Perfect.
Toby, are you hot by any chance?
You know I am, Otto. I love summer, but some of these days can get real hot.
Oh, well, that's okay. Maybe we should just go inside and cool down.
I think that's a good idea, Otto. Let's go.
Toby, I thought it would be cooler in here.
Yeah, me too, but I guess not.
Nope.
Well, what should we do?
There's gotta be something we can do to cool off. Maybe we should go buy a fan.
That might help.
Well, whatever it is we do, we can't sit in the heat all day.
All right, Otto, why don't you grab your hat and we'll head out and search it cool.
All right.
You almost ready to go, Otto?
Yeah, I'll be right there.
All right, I'm waiting outside.
We gotta get this guy cooled off.
Look, Otto, someone left a flyer on our door. There's a space heater sale down at the shop Drop and Roll. Should we get one?
Toby, no, that won't make us any less hot.
No, man, I was thinking like if we get a space heater and we get really hot, then we'll go all the way around from hot back to cold, right? Isn't that how refrigerators work?
I don't know about refrigerators, but in reality, that plan will never work.
Worth a shot. Let's keep going.
Hey, Kashi, how you doing?
Oh, hi, Christopher. I'm fine.
I see you made a list here.
Oh, yeah.
It says my favorite things to do in the summer.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about it?
I would love to. So, the first one is to go swimming. I love swimming. It's so cool in the summer.
So do I, Kashi.
And the second one is dig in the sand, which you can do at a beach, but you could even do it at a playground.
It's fun.
And the third one says drink lemonade. It's so delicious. And the fourth one is to go tubing, which is very special and fun, and it definitely keeps you cool.
And we're so lucky to have the Cascades right here in Ann Arbor.
Yes, we are. And the last one is read a book under a tree with a cool breeze coming by you. I just love that.
Kashi, you're cooling me down already.
Oh, good.
Well, listen, since we are talking all about summer, are we ready for our word of the day?
Sure.
Do you want to activate Lexi?
Okay. Mwah.
Well, let's see what it says. Can you read this, Kashi?
Oh, yeah, I know that one. It says parasol.
That's right. And a parasol is like an umbrella that we use to protect us from the sun.
Right.
Well, are you ready for the summer game code?
I am.
It's 5 letters.
Okay.
It has something to do with the sun.
Good.
And people often use this word when they're talking about power. Sometimes people say geothermal power or hydroelectric power. Well, this game code is power.
Oh.
And if you think you know the answer, you can go to play.aadl.org for... That's right. Until next time, keep cool.
Oh boy, look at all this water, Toby. I bet if we go swimming, we'll be able to cool off.
Good idea, Otto, and that might work for you, but I didn't bring a swimsuit.
You can't just...
No, I'm not going swimming in my underwear. I'll be red-faced from embarrassment.
Just a suggestion, big guy.
Oh well, let's keep going.
When my head overheats from too much theorizing, I like to divert myself with a little trip down the Cascades to cool off.
Okay, welcome back. As we enter into our public hearing on the budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024 for the Ann Arbor District Library. The next item on the agenda is public comment specifically for the 2023-2024 budget. Do we have anybody here who would like to speak or make a comment? Have we received any? Okay, seeing nobody, we will move on from our budget public hearing into our regular meeting. Can we take attendance again, please? Excellent, thank you. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the agenda has been approved. Can I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that is also approved. Now we've come to the citizens' comments portion of the beginning of the meeting. Would anybody in attendance like to address the board on any matter? Have we received any other public comment? No. Okay. Seeing nobody, I'll move into financial reports.
Okay, thank you very much. So the financial report begins on the page labeled 18 in your packet. Just to touch on a couple highlights here, this is with 10 months behind us as of April 30th. So our total cash on hand decreased $1.4 million to $8.8 million. That includes everything except our investments. Our tax receipts through April total $19 million. That's 101.16% of what we budgeted for tax receipts of $18.8 million. So that's we might tick up a little bit more over the next couple of months, but we're pretty close to what to the final amount there. Our fund balance increased from $7.2 million to $7.6 million as of April 30th. That's your undesignated amount that is really the library's reserves. And that's pretty much where we want to be. They say between a quarter and a third of your annual budget is a good place to have in your fund balance. And we're right about there with our annual budget of just over $20 million and a fund balance of $7 million. on page 19. Revenue, year-to-date revenue is $16.2 million. Year-to-date expenses is $14.3 million. So that's where we're currently at a surplus of $1.9 million. That might shrink a little bit in May and June with some big ticket purchases if we do some, particularly depending on our discussion a little later today about some new vehicles. But we do anticipate that in June, we will bring you some budget adjustments. Those are just moving things from one line to another. We'll be under budget overall, but we will need to add some budget to employee benefits, as we've been saying throughout the year. The MEPSers pass through both on the revenue and the expense side. Copier expense is a little higher than we expected. Grant and memorial expenses will need to be revised because we budgeted 0 for this year, so we'll just need to add that to match up what some of our expenses have been related to Friends purchases and some other items. Repairs and maintenance will need to be a little higher, and other operating expenses, and you'll see in a moment, those are fairly low dollar lines. So as we've said, we've currently received 85% of the approved, revenue realized 85% of the approved budget, and expenses are 75%. That's what brings us to the $1.9 million surplus. So then if you skip to page 21, just to touch on the lines that are quite a ways out, we're 83.3% of the way through the year. If you look at our investment gains, we didn't really expect to receive much of anything this year, and we've done actually pretty well on our investments. So that's way over budget in a good way because it's a revenue line. Copier revenue, we can see is not really, we haven't gotten as much as we expected. We expected to receive very little, and this is just a matter of that now that we allow 30 pages to any user at no cost, most people don't pay anything, right? And we are just continuing to address that as it comes by. I just want to point out, again, the revenue for copiers is $10,000, and the expense so far this year is about $50,000. That's the approved budget was $50,000. We're already about that. So we're spending more on it than we're taking in, but we're not anticipating that to be something that's revenue neutral. That's a consumable on the part of the library. Grants and memorials, we've received a lot more than we expected, but we didn't expect to get much. So even though it's 238%, that's on a budget of $5,000. This does not yet recognize the giant novelty check we will shortly be awarded, which arrived in the month of May. So it was not booked in this month's accounting. And then non-resident fees and library fines are both doing much better than expected, but on top of very small amounts. And then just to touch on looking now on the expense side, anything that's above 83% is arguably running over budget. You can see employee benefits, as we've been talking about, and MEPSers pass through. MEPSers, once again, is a Michigan Public School Employees Retirement System, and we just have a few employees who've been with us for a very long time who are still covered under that system. Materials is at 84.67%. That's terrific because often that has been a line where in the past we've left some money on the table at the end of the year. So the collections department is doing a terrific job making sure to take that money and put it on the shelves, which is what's happening there. So that's great. Copier expenses, we said we're already at 96% of the expenditures. Again, it's a small amount of money. And I did want to point out there, you can see grant and memorial expenditures is $4,000 over budget because we budgeted 0 for this year, not knowing what to expect. So I'll bring you an adjustment for that. And then finally, you've got other operating expenditures, which is kind of a catch-all. That's at 142%. And that's mostly, again, that's $11,000 of over a $27,000 budget. That's something we're addressing with next year's budget, which we will talk about shortly. And that's the financial report for today. Any questions? Okay. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, thanks, Eli. All right, so we will be moving on to committee reports. The executive committee met last week, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago on a Monday, and we discussed upcoming agenda items, moving around our closed session schedule, and we discussed our relationships with other local governments. We had a couple of conversations just about how we're interacting with local governments around us. And that was it from the executive committee. Onto the budget and finance committee.
Well, we're going to be talking about the budget on the agenda, so I won't talk too much. We basically just met to finalize the budget, which we will be talking about soon. Is there anything we really kind of just budget, which we're talking about?
It's that time of year.
Yeah, it is that time of year. All right, thank you all. Any questions? No. All right, so move on to the library report.
Okay. Y'all can bring it up on the screen there. So this month, we're going to start off with our stat of the month. And this month, we're going to talk about the Tools Bookings program, which now launched a year ago. Now, there's 3 different ways that you can get tools from the library. And again, we call it tools. A lot of libraries have other names for it. It's often called the Library of Things. That makes me angry because libraries are always full of things, right? And these are every bit as much things as the books and media were things. However, so there's 3 ways you can get tools. You can walk in and it's on the shelf and you can take it out and check it out. You can place a request and wait your turn, and when it's your turn, it's your turn. Or, this is the new service, you can specify a booking for a specific week. When we started getting into this, immediately we heard from people who were planning their weddings around this service, or bar mitzvahs or graduation parties. I'm checking some of it out for my own kid's graduation party next week. We needed a mechanism by which they could know that they were going to get the things for a specific weekend, because we don't want to ruin anybody's wedding or bar mitzvah or any of that kind of stuff. So we launched this service. It's built on top of some functionality that was built into Evergreen. Evergreen is our library automation system. It's an open source tool, and it has, basically the course reserves infrastructure, which is built around being able to reserve a specific material for a certain amount of time. So we're able to build an interface on top of that then allowed patrons to be able to make a booking of an item for a specific week. So there are about 16 different titles in this collection and a total of 88 copies across all of those. I think they've got that right. And so far, we've fulfilled 488 bookings for that. The most popular is the Giant Connect 4, which we've booked 91 times. It's a nice balance between fun and actually portable. You can still take it home with you. Number 2 is the Mega Tumble Tower, or Giant Jenga, 55 bookings for that. Number 3 is the Projector, 51 bookings. Number 4 is the PA system at 45 bookings. Number 5 is Giant Chess at 44 bookings. That's the one that comes in 1 bag. Not to be confused with Mega Chess, that comes in 4 bags. And that if you don't have a large enough vehicle, you are not taking it home with you that day. And that's something that we have seen gets abandoned frequently because it looks so great, and then you arrive to pick it up, and you brought your hatchback, and it ain't happening. Or you're planning to take it on the bus, and that's definitely not happening. So we're looking at some other ways that we might be able to fulfill that need for that isn't so car-centric, but it's a challenge because you still have to be able to take it somewhere. You have to be able to bring it back, right? So we're looking at that. One thing that is in the bookable collection that I wanted to mention, it's called the Grandmother. It is a synthesizer. You cannot book a grandmother from the library. That is a Moog analog synthesizer. So, and you can get all that at aadl.org/book-a-tool, and you can make that reservation whenever you need to. And stuff fills up pretty fast for the big weekends. And so to look at what that's like, here's bookings per month for the past year of the service. You can see when we started in May 2022, off to a small start. Then we had like a big peak in August, which isn't surprising. We get a lot of bookings from campus groups, a lot. When Festival first hits on the agenda, everybody wants to check out the Giant Connect 4. So that's something we hear from a lot in August. Then there's definitely an off season, and it's November and December, and then they can start picking up again in January. You can see April, we served way more bookings than we have ever before. And May, that was just as of the first half of May. That bar. So I'm expecting that to be pretty close to the April size bar. This is a service that's going very well. It is a staff-intensive service because it's more complicated than our other services. However, it is less staff-intensive than basically emulating the service without the infrastructure, which is what we were doing when we first started this. And people would say, can you set aside the Giant Chess? I'm getting married. And we're like, oh, you're getting married? Of course we'll set it aside, right? But if there's no infrastructure for that, then it becomes a big problem. So while it is a high-touch service, relatively low demand, every one of those bookings is making someone's day, making their event, and we hear about it all the time. So we're happy to be able to provide that. Any questions about tools bookings?
As someone who always has overdue items, what do you do if Giant Chess doesn't get returned in time for the wedding?
Right. So first of all, our system builds in a buffer. We expect things to be up to a day late, and then there's another day before we let someone else book it. And we have extras of most of these items, so if we get in a real jam. However, y'all have approved in our policy a daily fine of $25 a day for bookings that are overdue past the date they selected. However, we haven't yet collected that. Not because it hasn't happened, because we haven't had to collect it. Because it's only a tool to get the thing back. So, it's a sword saber we rattle occasionally, but we have not yet actually had to charge that for anyone, which is the way we want it. Did I answer your question, Jamie? Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Upcoming events. So first of all, we've got Visions coming up on June 7th. That's a weekday event. That is our assistive technology fair for people with visual impairments. It's been something we've been doing a long time, and that's going to be a great event, so encourage everyone to check that out. The Summer Games starts on June 9th. You got a sneak preview of the card there. This year, local artist Jeremy Wheeler designed kaiju mascots for all 5 of our branches. So you can see the giant downtown library with a fish tank in its chest, the big coffee cup to represent Westgate, the snail with a green roof to represent Mallett's Creek, the turtle, snapping turtle who lives underneath Pittsfield and only emerges when the time is right, and of course the emerald ash borer with its staff with the Kamarowski sculpture atop the staff. So a little bit of everything in that, and we've already got a lot of great feedback just from the few patrons who have seen these and from staff, and these are going to be hot prospect. There'll be little tiny acrylic pins of all 5 of these characters in the Summer Game shop. There's new bookmarks that have one for each branch that have the characters on them. The banners feature, it's going to be great. People are going to be very excited about this, a lot of fun. So that starts June 9th. Also, this year, instead of coming to my office for my badge, I will be posting the events and things I plan to attend each week. So people have to come try to find me at library events to receive my code. So that will encourage them to show up, and that will be fun. A2CAF, the Ann Arbor Comic Arts Festival, is coming up then right after Summer Game starts, June 10th and 11th. Got a lot of great stuff with that, a lot of great guests, including Gail Galligan, Nate Powell, Dan Santat, and Jen Wang. So that's coming up the 10th and 11th. We also will have, on the 11th at Top of the Park, a band of comic artists called the Shake-Ups will be performing for the Kids Rock concert at Top of the Park on the 11th. Alongside that, at Ann Arbor Summerfest, all goes through June 11th to 25th. In addition to our Kids Rock concerts, of which there are 3, we will have a Bob Ross paint-along at Top of the Park. We'll have our world-famous trivia. We'll have Nerd Night, during which I will be giving a talk about my ridiculous contraption of a musical instrument. And I promise you, they had to twist my arm to make me do that. And then we'll also have Matt Sandback, who's doing this really interesting still life shadow puppetry, is something else we're bringing to town. So that will be a lot of fun at Top of the Park. Thanks to our wonderful partners at the Summer Festival for that. Then we have Japan Week in partnership with the Center for Japanese Studies on campus. That's June 12th through 17th. A bunch of great events coming up for that. Then the author of our big gay read this year, Melinda Lowe, she'll be here June 20th to talk about her book. And of course, Make Music Day on June 21st. We've got places signing up all over town. There's plenty of opportunity still for places to post a venue or to post that they want to participate in that event. And that should be a lot of fun. So that's all coming up events. For a staff spotlight this year, this is Joe Harris. He's currently systems specialist, desktop engineer. He's worked here 31 years. He started working here when he was 17. He worked as a bookshelver, information desk clerk, a desk clerk, circulation department supervisor, and then systems specialist, a systems technician. And he's been the desktop engineer since 2001. So he helps a lot when all the computers need upgrades or to get new software, things like that. What do you wish people you worked with knew about you? I was hired when I was 17. I've worked as a circ supervisor, security staff, desk clerk, and book pro before joining the IT department. I worked with Joe a long time. I was his boss for probably every bit of 20 years, and it's just a joy working with Joe. Very calm, very competent guy, knows what he's doing, and just a joy to the organization. Been here a long time, so thank you, Joe. All right, new AADL releases. We have a couple of our new items coming into the tools collection. This is the first of our, what you might call equity-focused additions to the tools collection. This is something we hear about occasionally where people are like, you have all these great discs, but I don't have a disc player. And what am I supposed to do with these discs? Or, can I take something on a trip? We don't have a tablet to entertain the children in the back seat or something like that. So we decided after many years of not having a media player to add one that had a screen built in. It doesn't make a lot of sense for us to circulate like a standalone Blu-ray player, but with the screen built in and a battery, it has that road trip use case and is allowed to appeal to a wider audience. So they play Blu-rays, DVDs, and CDs. They are by request only. They're not on the shelf. So you place a request and let you know when it's ready for you. And we'll see how it goes if we need some booking copies after a while. But hopefully, since we've got 15 of them in the collection, everyone's going to get them pretty quickly, and we'll see how demand goes for this. It's the sort of, they go out for 2 weeks. They can be renewed if no one else is waiting. It's the sort of thing that we get questions about, and now we're going to see if there's actually the demand there to match the amount of questions that we've had. But it's got a built-in battery, speakers, and a headphone jack. You can also hook it up to a television if you want to do that. So it should be a great item, great addition to the collection, and we'll have more to come in that direction later this fall. Some upcoming partner studies I just want you to know about in case you get any questions about them. We got 2 things happening. One is in partnership with the Intelligent Media Lab at the UMich School of Ed. They've got an IRB-approved study, which is all about elementary schoolers and picture books and interacting with smart speakers. I think they're looking to measure how much literacy gain or how people feel when they're interacting with a picture book that is being read to them via a smart speaker. Okay, so they're like following along on the book as Alexa's reading or something like that. We've given them permission to offer opportunities to participate in this study at the downtown library and at Westgate. They're looking to reach 300 to 400 people, and we are their main partner. So they will be, the way that we set these up is that you can have a table, you can have a sign, you can have premium. What you can't do is solicit passersby, right? So it's like they can have their sign and whatever their rewards for participating on, but they can't ask people, hey. They have to wait to be approached, right? And that's a nice balance because a lot of patrons would like these opportunities. We just don't want them to be, harangued as they're walking into the building. And you get to keep a picture book if you participate in that study. So I think they will have no problem reaching several hundred local kids. Then, this is just a one-day thing, but it's also very interesting. So Michigan Legal Help is an organization that helps people when they have to deal with courts and need help with the forms and applications and the dockets and all that stuff. So they are doing usability testing on plain language versions of the eviction court forms. So they'll be doing that Tuesday at the downtown library. We're also having a conversation with them about a self-help center, although there is one that is currently at the courthouse just a couple of blocks away. So we'll have a conversation with them about that, but those are both coming up opportunities for patrons in the next couple weeks at the downtown library and at Westgate. So here's AADL in the community. The Friends of Ann Arbor District Library recently donated 600 books to Michigan Medicine outpatient pediatric clinics as part of Michigan Medicine's Reach Out and Read program, built to help foster a love of reading in children and families. These books are placed in the waiting rooms of pediatric clinics at East Ann Arbor, West Ann Arbor, and Briarwood facilities, with families encouraged to take them home after their visits. The library helped make this happen by we were able to use our bulk purchasing power to make this money go very far. And a big thank you to the Friends of the Library, who are on the agenda a little later, for making this possible. Because this is the sort of thing that when we got this request from Michigan Medicine, it's not really appropriate to use tax money on something like this, but it's very appropriate for our partners, the Friends, to help support something like this. And we were happy to help make that happen, and thank you to the Friends for making it possible. All right, so now our mentions. Here's the mention of the month. This is from Island Performance. Island is an Asian American and Pacific Islander performance group that we've done lots of partnerships with. And they had this event this past weekend called the Kizuna Tree. And thank you to everyone who came to Kizuna Tree tonight. Thank you for sharing this experience with us and supporting Asian American and Pacific Islander art in Ann Arbor. This performance wouldn't have been possible without the amazing help from the artists, AADL, Detroit Public TV, and Rising Voices, which is the local nonprofit that was a partner on this. Thank you all for your support and our vision and helping it come to life. Congratulations to everyone for an amazing performance. It's a very cool performance about the impact of internment camps and other issues. And the Kizuna Tree is still on display right in the corner of the first floor. You can see it on your way out, and looks great down there, and it's got all of the cranes that were made as part of the project hanging on it. So that's very cool. Thank you very much for Island for bringing this to us, and we're always happy to work with them. Here's our compliment of the month. Thank you so much for providing interpreters for the AADL drop-in sewing on April 24th. This is a sign language interpreting. I haven't seen my mom so happy in such a long time. It sincerely made me tear up. My mom is thrilled to be able to make friends and chat about something she loves so much. Thank you again. We do offer sign language ASL interpretation for almost any event upon request. So it is something that when we hear, and generally we've established with many of the people in the community who are interested, give us a call a week in advance, and we can arrange for that whenever possible. So it's something that we try to make happen whenever we get a request for it. So thank you for that. That was a great experience, and we were so happy to hear about that. Here's our complaint of the month, which just came in today. Patron expressed her displeasure at the lack of movement in getting the assistive tech lab downtown up and running again. They commented that they feel like the visually impaired are being pushed to the back of the bus and reminded staff that the award you won was partly due to the lab and the accessibility our computers had. And it just came in today. It's about this space downstairs. This is basically in the process of being remodeled, and the problem was that all the equipment got stolen. That was back in the fall. So we needed to up the ante in terms of how that equipment was secured, because it's one of those arms race sorts of things. The techniques we were using before are no longer sufficient. So we had to get a new arm to be able to mount the iPad to that both can reach for the range of motion that is required for accessibility and also be harder to have the iPad broken out of it. And the equipment is starting to go out this week. So that is happening right now. Here's a photograph of it from today, but it's been freshly painted, brand new elevator tables, and the equipment will be going out shortly. And the award she's referring to is in 2014, the Library for the Blind won Sub-Regional of the Year from the National Library Service. That was the same year that the Michigan Braille and Talking Book Library won Network Library of the Year. So that was about 10 years ago, and we're very happy to be able to bring this back, and we apologize for how long it has taken to get that going. It's just a lot of small problems, furnishings, furniture, equipment, and we'll be back in action soon. All right, upcoming meetings. I think I've mentioned this before, just to make sure. So the Library Journal Design Institute is coming up Thursday, June 1st at Durham County Library in Durham, North Carolina. Scott and I are going. Our project based on the feasibility study that the Bonner Group had produced for us in 2019 is what they are attempting to design. So a 14, 15-story building with many stories of housing above a 150,000 square foot library. And we're working with GBBN, which is an architecture firm that has done a lot of libraries in Cincinnati and throughout the Midwest. And it's been interesting so far, designing a project of that scale in about 3 weeks. So we'll see how that comes together, but we're very excited to see what they come up with. And the event is basically a charrette where they present their design and all the attendees give feedback on it, what they think works and what doesn't. And we're very excited to see what comes up there, as well as to get a look at the Durham County Main Library. And I have recently discovered in downtown Durham is a tuba museum. Wow. So I'm going. All right. And then a few more things I just wanted to mention. I know we've talked about this at the board meeting, so I just wanted to let everyone know that with the end of the public health emergency, AADL is no longer requiring masks of staff in any circumstance. Masks are still allowed of staff at any point, will be into the future. The one thing I wanted to mention is that with the end of the new case metrics, the new metrics that are being produced by the CDC and locally are hospitalizations per 100,000 per week total. And they have established a threshold that the low is 0 to 10, medium is 10 to 20, and high is 20 and above. That's hospitalizations per 100,000 per week. Okay? So we will be continuing to watch that number, and if it moves back up into medium, that's the time at which we'll be considering if it's time to bring a mask requirement back for staff on the desk. Hopefully we won't get there, and it's not necessarily going to be automatic the way that it was before. It'll depend on a lot of other factors. But I've read a lot of the papers about how the hospitalizations is actually a pretty good proxy for new cases. So it's a very valid metric that is being tracked now, and it is something that you're able to have real data about it nationwide because the data comes from hospitals, as opposed to new case data, which was really falling apart as being something that had anything meaningful for it. So we're in a good spot there. This has been entirely unremarkable from staff and patrons. And one of the things that we had said was that one of our criteria for lifting the mask mandate was the end of daily case reports from the county, and that happened. So it was pretty much right on schedule. And happy to see where we're at with that and hopefully keep moving forward. I am also participating in City Administrator Milton Dehoney's Downtown Public Bathroom Task Force. And boy, is that a fun one. But they've got a really interesting idea with a new product that's been tested in Washington, D.C. And I'm happy to be a part of that conversation. Dan Kelly from the Shelter Association is also part of that conversation. So they're looking for input, trying to determine where to place the pilot and how to know if it's successful, things like that. And glad to see some new entrants into that unique space. One other thing I wanted to mention is that we'll hear from the Friends later today. They have recently launched their new membership program, and it's really terrific. I encourage you all to take a look at it at their website, faadl.org. You are all welcome as trustees to be members of the Friends of the Library. And if you choose to join, it is a great way to get some library summer game swag without having to solve any of those pesky puzzles. So you can get some swag from the Friends, and there's great information on their website about that at faadl.org. And then finally, just a late-breaking piece of news, the fiber is down at Westgate. That is city fiber, so we have no internet or Wi-Fi at Westgate right now. We're hoping it will be fixed overnight or sometime tomorrow, but just to let you know, currently there's no internet at Westgate. But there's still coffee, and there's still soft seating and lots of materials. And that's my report for today. Any questions?
I have a question about Make Music Day.
Yes.
Is there a limit to how many people can sign up?
No.
So it's just however many people decide to sign up, anybody
Yes.
can do it?
There's two parts of it. You can register your venue, you can register you to perform.
Uh-huh.
And then the system matches up performers with venues. So then
cool.
and then the venue gets to choose which of the recommended matches they choose to book.
Okay.
So it's like you can register as a venue, you can register as a performer, you can do both.
So if you want to play on your front porch, you just register as a venue and a performer?
Yes, or you can just do it, but it won't be on the map otherwise. So it's like you want to register as a venue and then register yourself as a performer.
Okay.
That's great.
I just had a quick question about the pilot. You said that for the bathrooms?
Yes.
Can you explain like what they're thinking about using, or is that?
I'm not sure that they're ready to have that in public yet.
Okay, cool.
But it is like a freestanding product.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so it's like something that is intended to it's not a porta potty.
Yeah.
But it is as deployable.
That's great. No, I'm all about it. I deeply support it. I'm glad you're doing that. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Eli. So now we move on to the old business section of the agenda. So first on our return list of items is a Parkland Plaza facility upgrade update from Len.
We have good news this month.
Hey, we like good news.
Eli and I met with Scioto Township Planning Commission May 8th. The meeting went really well. Our project passed unanimously.
That's just zoning.
That's zoning, yes.
That's no small barrier.
They did agree, since the number of staff we'll have out there, they decreased the number of parking spots we'd need, which is great. We didn't want to add any more pavement that wouldn't be used. There are some requirements we have to meet. All existing concrete needs to meet ADA, which means all of it has to come out and be replaced. We're also going to put in a walk along Parkland Plaza, north and south, and a walk from Parkland Plaza to the building. I don't see this as a problem. It's actually probably a benefit to us. As we do more things out there, we also learned that they do allow street parking, so this would allow people to come up to the building, gives them safe passage, don't have to walk in the street. So it's outside the scope. There will be an increase, obviously, but I think it's a good thing. So I think this evening, the meeting minutes from the Planning Commission go in front of the Township Board. If that passes, we go in front of the board on June 13th at 7 p.m. So we'll find out later on tonight if we've made that agenda, and fingers crossed we will. Any questions?
I thought that the township was going to pave a sidewalk.
They paved the west side.
Oh.
They have a plan. We learned there's a plan for the east side as well. And what they're trying to do is piecemeal it, as you have to bring a site up to code. Owners do it, and then they'll fill in the blanks somewhere down the road. Currently, there's only one other section of sidewalk on the east side, and it's to the south of us.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's good news.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, glad to see that moving forward. All right, next item is a resolution to extend the space use agreement with the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library, which is not the only Friends item on the agenda tonight, but this is the first one, which is on page 23. So yeah, the space use agreement is on page 23, yeah. Did you want to introduce that, Eli?
Yeah, so there's one thing that, in conversation with the Friends Board, we did amend the agreement since the last time that you've seen it. It's at the top of page 27 under 3.7 shelving. And basically, the way that it was phrased, it had a a hard amount of the amount of shelving, and friends were concerned that might involve them having to leave inventory behind. So we just reworded it to say enough carts, shelving, or pallets to hold their existing inventory at the time of the move, so that they would be clear that we are going to make sure they have enough room for all of their stuff. That was the only change to the agreement. Everything else is the same as prior year, other than the dates. And we would recommend moving forward with this. Oh, one completely unrelated thing I forgot to mention. The Library of Michigan has produced print versions of their Michigan Public Library Trustee Manual and Michigan Library Financial Management Guide. If either of you or any of you prefer a physical print and are interested in reading these documents and love the smell of spiral bound, we have these and you're welcome to take one of them. So those are available.
So now remind me, do I read the resolution and then get a motion, or do I get a motion and then read the resolution?
So first you need to move.
Okay.
First you need a.
All right, so can I have a motion to approve to extend the space use agreement with the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so now I read the motion. Yeah, right. Got it. All right, so the motion is, the board resolves that the president of the Board of Trustees of Ann Arbor District Library be authorized to sign a one-year extension of the space use agreement along with the co-presidents of the Board of the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library, and 2, that all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded. Any discussion? All right, we're happy to keep this moving forward. So all in favor, or is this a roll call, or is this a
item of action?
Item of action, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is approved. And the next item is Lenigan for fleet purchases.
All good. So this is a continued conversation from last month. The one thing I learned, I think we left off on repairs from the upfitter motive. The company itself is a true upfitter, so they purchase everything. I mentioned the batteries are from BMW, that type of thing. They outsource everything and then actually assemble the components onto the vehicle. So they don't manufacture or make anything. They're just an upfitter. So as long as those parts are available, parts would be available for the vehicle. And that's the box truck we talked about. So what I would like to do, if you all are comfortable with this, is come back next month with the resolution. We talked about the F-250, provide 3 quotes for that, and we can talk about that and possibly get a vote. I can do the same for the mid-size EV and have quotes for a gas box truck as well. That way for down the road, when those vehicles need to be replaced, we've already had some of the conversation, but happy to do what you guys want.
I would appreciate quotes on all of what you
Yes.
just mentioned, with a particular lean, I think, is aligned with our last conversation towards EV.
Mhm.
But just so we're covering all of our bases and doing our due diligence, both would be appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have you thought of anything else about the box truck EV? Any of that conversation over this last month? And did anything else come up you might want to discuss tonight?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything.
Okay,
like,
it's good.
think,
I just-
yeah. To the extent that it's possible to kind of get our heads around like total cost of ownership kinds of life cycle cost estimates, in addition to just like how much is the bill to buy the thing.
Yeah.
I know that's difficult with relatively new tech to predict, but knowing ideally maintenance on vehicles with fewer moving parts has an impact on how long we think these things are going to last us. As we kind of weigh it, but it is a tough call because it is.
I know it is, yeah.
ticket, but,
I'll get the quotes together for the midsize EV, the essential vehicle we need for plowing and maintenance that we need, and then we can probably do some slides for the EV. There's not a lot of comparables for the big EV.
Yeah.
But we can do that and have that little deeper discussion next month. But if that's what you all want to see, I think that's the way we go with it. Let's get some real quotes and talk about those numbers and decide which path we want to go on.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you all.
I have a quick request. If it's possible to have images, like pictures? I feel like
Sure,
it's
absolutely.
easier to keep that in your head.
That's why I was thinking slides. We can do something like that. Then we can talk about the sizes and the needs for the different vehicles.
Yeah,
Yes,
that'd be super
absolutely.
helpful. Awesome, thank you.
Yep, okay. Thank you all so much.
Yep, thanks, Len. Okay, and now we get to move on to new business. First item is Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library, Garrett Scott, the treasurer. Thank you, welcome.
No, well, thank you, because it was going to be awkward drafting new remarks if you hadn't approved our space use agreement. So you've saved me a little bit of work there right up the top. So I am Garrett Scott. I'm the treasurer of the Friends Group, and I'm here tonight with our co-presidents, Kim Clark and Susan Hellerman, as well as our director, Rachel Pastiva. And first of all, thank you. We are two legally distinct organizations, but we're very much entwined with the trustees in the library. We literally couldn't do it without you. From the agreement that was approved tonight to the work that the library staff does for us with facilities, publicity, actually handling sales from the bookshop. So again, thank you for supporting us in supporting the library. Today is the 70th anniversary of the founding of the Friends organization. So I wanted to take just a couple of moments to kind of look back on what we've been doing and to look forward to what we want to do for the library. Now, I'm not going to look back over the full 70 years, but I would like to look back over the past couple or 3 years. First piece of news is the Friends survived COVID. When you're a bookshop and you have to shut down for over a year, it can be hard to keep your organization together. But thanks in part to the stewardship of our board before this, including Pat McDonald and Griff McDonald, who was our treasurer before this, the Friends were actually in pretty good shape coming out of COVID. We had paid our bills, we'd made payroll, and we had an emergency cash reserve. Over the past 2 years, our revenue this year is up 35% over last year and up about 370% over where it was 2 years ago. Revenue is good for a small nonprofit. And as the treasurer of a small local nonprofit, I am unable to ever say that I'm optimistic, but at least I'm not as worried as I was before. In April, we returned to having a bag sale at the downtown branch. The line of people waiting to get in the door for that sale was around the corner and down to the credit union. There's an appetite in this community for books. You all know that already. There's an appetite in this community for people to support the mission of the library. And that's what we're here to do. One of the tangible ways we've done that is a return to the cash grants to the library, which we're happy to do this year to the tune of $25,000, with a pledge of coming back with $35,000 next year. The growth in revenue and a return to business also means we have a chance finally, after a couple of years, to stop, catch our breath, and think about what the future might look like. As we stand here at 70 years, what's it going to look like at 75 years? What's it going to look like at 100 years? What's the relationship between the Friends and the library going to look like? We want to be strategic about our growth. We're moving into a new space this year, and we're looking at expanding the range of services that the Friends store offers. Thanks to Rachel and to our volunteers, we've moved into starting to publicize a pick up and pack out program that's aimed largely at helping households in transition, states, people looking to move or downsize, who don't want to have to drive down to the loading dock with a car full of books 10 times. So we're looking to kind of expand out into the community and to kind of get in front of more people and bring the books back and circulate them through our city. As Eli also mentioned, we've launched for the first time in a long time an initiative aimed at bringing new members in. You can still join for just $25 and your whole household is covered. You all become friends. But now we've got tiers. If you feel like you want to be a little bit more generous, we've lowered the bar of entry. And there's also great prizes if you become a higher friend member, including, I think it's some very high figure. Eli will give you a tour of the library. I know that's probably not something that you necessarily need, but we just hold that out there. Now, we're glad to be back to giving the grant to the library. You know, in looking at your budget, with a $20 million budget proposed for next year, where does $25,000 or $35,000 really fit? You know, you look at that top line. Well, I looked down and I saw that we, in fact, did bring in more revenue than the copiers. And I am confident that we've got our eye on the copiers for next year as well. And I think we can do pretty well against them. But as Eli mentioned, our donations are relatively small, but they're driven by community, one $1 used book at a time. And so think of it as the change jar. You know, a taxpayer, that top line, that $20 million, taxpayer. They may love what you do, but taxpayer, that's a buttoned up to the chin kind of word. A taxpayer, that's like forms on a kitchen table. You have an obligation there. The money that we give is because people love what you do. And so think of this, that like flexible money. When a friend is someone who says, hey, you want to have a trivia night and put it together with a scavenger hunt? And you want to have it all summer? A friend says, let's make t-shirts for it. That's where you're going to get the money. Come to us when you're looking for things, when an opportunity to put 600 books in the hands of children in the U of M health system comes up. That's what the Friends are here for. We take donations. We get people in the community involved in being booksellers. We move books through the community at low cost to others. These are things the library really isn't set up to do, but that we can help you do. So thank you again for your support. What will we look like at 75? What will we look like at 100? We hope that you can join us. Consider becoming a friend of the library. I know you're already doing a lot for us already, but isn't it a lovely thing when people come together to support a library that they love? It surely is. And so thanks again. Come, join us. And if you want to join us after, we do have the giant novelty check, which you can pose with if you wish. And if you want to, you can talk to me about the bootleg stickers that we have brought. And perhaps you can talk a little bit more about the Friends mission. So again, thank you. And any questions, please talk to us after the meeting.
Thank you. I feel like we should applaud that. That's nice.
Well, thank you so much. It was lovely to hear from you all. And I'm relieved to see the Friends kind of get back up on your feet, because we know it was a hard couple of years through the pandemic. So thank you so much. Okay, so next on the agenda is a resolution recognizing the 70th anniversary of the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library. So on page 33, can I have a motion for this item?
So moved. Second. It's a race today.
Okay, thank you.
May I read the resolution?
What's that?
Can I read the resolution?
You may read the resolution, Jim, please.
The board resolves that the Ann Arbor District Library Board congratulates the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library upon their 70th anniversary and acknowledges the many contributions of their volunteers and boards over the years. 2, that it officially recognizes the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library for their ongoing support of the Ann Arbor District Library events and programs, including the library's summer game. 3, that it looks forward to many more years of partnership and collaboration with the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library. And 4, that all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded.
Any further comments from the board?
Excellent. Thank you for all your work.
And congratulations. I know the time through the pandemic was not an easy one.
I didn't know you were 70.
You look so young. No.
That's really amazing. That's cool to
Yeah.
think like about what this library was like when the organization started and everything that's happened since. And I'm so glad to mark the anniversary of the moving to the plaza. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's really good. Also, as a local librarian, I'm very excited about this idea that you would pick books up, because there's an email in my inbox like every week with someone who needs something like that. So thank you. I will excitedly tell people about it.
And actually today, unrelated to this, I was reading some historic documents about other things, and I read about the Beal House, which used to be on this site. And I just happened to read about that the original fundraiser for the Friends was held in the garden on this property 70 years ago. So, which, yeah, I hadn't even thought about reading up on the history and read about it today. And so it's definitely resonant. So glad to see that everything is still here and still in the same place. And we've gotten to this place with the help of the Friends. So thank you again. Okay, so we've had discussion. All in favor of this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, can we pause and take a picture with the check?
You want to do that now?
Yes.
That's true, we have to have the budget to go.
Come on, everyone.
I know.
You gotta receive the check. So I walked and I stretched my back, so it was a little weird. I apologize for being a little. Okay? All right. Hooray. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Well, that's a bucket list item. I've never been in a picture with a giant check on it.
I know, I never, me neither. It was very exciting.
All right. And moving on, we have our resolution to approve the annual budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And where is that resolution?
First resolution begins on page 37.
Gotcha. And do we need to read the pursuant to act part or just the resolution?
We do need to read the entire
Okay.
This is
It's my favorite time of year.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
I like to see how fast I can do it after.
I'm happy to do it, but if anybody would like to volunteer, I would not say no. Okay.
I think, didn't we do a read around?
That was on something, I don't know if it
That
was.
was on a longer one.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, there is another one for the millage.
Go ahead,
There is
Jim.
the-
Come
the-
on, you love it.
Yeah,
Well,
the first one isn't the long one.
All right, I'll
No,
do
it's-
it.
For the millage one.
It's
That's
the last one, yeah.
Okay. I can handle it. All right. So pursuant to the Act 2 of the Michigan Public Acts of 1968, as amended, before adoption of a budget, a public hearing shall be held as required by Act Number 43 of the Public Acts of the Second Extra Session of 1963, as amended, Act 43, and Act Number 267 of the Public Acts of Michigan, 1976, as amended. Pursuant to Act 43, notice of a public hearing on the proposed budget of the district library must be given by publication in a newspaper of general circulation in the library district at least 6 days prior to the date of such hearing. The board, after due and proper notice, conducted a public hearing on Monday, May 22nd, 2023, tonight, on the approval of the proposed budget. The board resolves as follows. The board approves and adopts the budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, as presented, and that all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded. So any discussion?
Let me just get a few highlights here.
Yeah.
So one thing is that if you look on page 34 and 35, the narrative, because of the increase to the tax base and inflation, we are expecting we've increased the budget and we are still expecting that we receive more than the additional $1.1 million that we added to the budget. We have budgeted tax receipts of $20.2 million. It could wind up being 20.3, 20.4, depends on how well things go over the course of the year, and particularly if there are foreclosures or abatements that then we need to pay back out of that. So we've done what we continue to have done year over year is budget our revenue a little bit below what the projections expect us to see, because we would always rather have more revenue than we expected than to come up short and then have to make expenditure cuts in the end of the fiscal year. One thing I just wanted to mention about state aid will decline in the new fiscal year due to Library of Michigan certification requirements. In other words, because I'm not a librarian. And so that means we are no longer eligible for state aid. The nice thing about that is that that money that would have gone to us goes back into the pool and is then apportioned to all the other libraries that are receiving state aid. So it doesn't disappear into some other line item. It just means it's a little bit larger for all the other libraries in the state. That would have been somewhere around $90,000 to $100,000. But because of the way that their fiscal years work, we still get 1/2 of it for the upcoming fiscal year, and the next fiscal year will receive 0. So we're still expecting to receive some of that for next year. This does not affect our penal fines, which is all of the basic traffic tickets and citations and fines that are collected inside our district. That goes to public libraries in the state constitution. So that is not dependent on the Library of Michigan certification rules. Salaries and wages, this includes all of the increases of the library's new salary structure, which has been revamped in consultation with some specialists in compensation, and it's something that we'll be moving forward with. Some substantial increases, particularly for book pros. And this also includes a one-time 5% merit pool. We usually have done a 3% merit pool when we've had a merit increases, but because this year we had more revenue than we were expected in the next fiscal year, as well as no Headley rollback because of the high inflation. So that's the one good side from a library perspective of high inflation, is that it doesn't affect our Headley reduction fraction. So we are able to keep the same millage rate for next year that we had for this year. And also, we happen to have a year where our insurance renewals were of a very minor increase, around the order of 2-3%. So something the library was able to absorb without passing any of those costs along to staff. All that put together puts us in a position to have a 5% merit pool. It's unlikely that we'll be in that situation again anytime soon. There are no substantial changes to employee benefits. We are changing some of the providers, but they're with identical benefits from the new provider. And that is not the healthcare provider, it's just the LTD provider. We also are able to add a new EAP, Employee Assistance Program, that is now available to all staff, full-time and part-time, and our staff will be finding out more about that after the year begins in July. We have an orientation meeting. There's a number of great benefits that are able to all staff whenever they're having any kind of struggles. All kinds of things. There's some legal help available. There's some mental health care that's part of that benefit, all kinds of stuff. So we're pleased to be able to offer that benefit to all staff for the first time. Under accounting and audit, that is going down because we were planning to post a finance manager in the next few weeks, and we'll no longer be needing the services of Maynard Casterison. Once that is in place, that's pretty much cost neutral across the two. So we'll be getting that rolling in the near future. One thing I want to note, and we'll look at this just a moment, is there's a new GASB accounting requirement about principal retirement, and it makes it look confusing. So let's go ahead. There's nothing else really on the narrative to mention. So let's go ahead to skip to page 36, and there's just a few things I want to point out here. So one thing, as you can see, we've decreased the copier revenue even a little bit further to only $9,000, just to make sure it comes in about right. Accounting and audit, you can see there, the far right column, anything in parentheses means things that are decreased in next year's budget. Accounting and audit is decreased, as we talked about, because that is, we're not going to be using an external accounting firm anymore once we're able to hire a finance manager. The building rental is $345,000 less, but that's because it's moved down to this principal retirement line that comes under total operating expense. Basically, because you've signed a lease, the new accounting rules require you to account for that as if it was debt. So the library has no debt. So it's a little misleading for it to say principal retirement, but that's what the accountants say it's supposed to be called. Principal retirement, but what it actually is rent payments. And that's all pretty much Westgate and the archives.
Is that principal as in like a principal on a mortgage, basically?
It's the same it's the same terminology, yeah, okay. But it isn't actually debt that we're retiring.
Yeah.
It's more like treating the lease that we signed as a debt we have to pay.
I understand, okay.
And then the other big thing here is that under operating capital outlays, we were able to budget $1.9 million for capital outlays over the course of the year. That will fund a lot of the stuff at the plaza. And then we'll see when we get to the end of the year, if there's other purchases, whatever we don't spend out of that, we'll be asking you to move into the capital fund to save for future capital projects. And that's on top of, you can see down there, transfer from general fund. We are anticipating at the end of this fiscal year to ask you to approve a transfer of $2 million from the undesignated fund balance into the capital fund, starting to save for future downtown library project. So that is in addition to the money that's already been put there to fund the Parkland Plaza project. As Len said, we are having some scope creep on the capital expenditures related to Parkland Plaza, but this will more than cover them, and this will give us some room to start building up a nest egg in anticipation of a project like that. So that's the basics of next year's budget. Any questions?
Excited for those increases.
Yes.
For the staff, that's nice to hear.
When there's with the ending balance here, under capital fund.
Yes.
The 3.9 is what ends up on the general fund at the end of next fiscal year? Is that what I'm?
No, it's at the end of there's currently 1.9 in the capital fund. We're likely to ask you to add another $2 million with this year's surplus. Right?
Okay, got it.
So that'll put us about $4 million in the capital fund.
Got it.
Any other questions?
And I'll say thank you to staff and for the Budget and Finance Committee for all the work you did, giving input on this and getting another great budget in place. And happy to see we're still, in good financial health and planning for the future and able to meet our aspirations and our goals with all the support from the community. So thank you. All right, so, and this is an item of action even. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that passes. Moving on to the next resolution, to authorize a millage rate to be levied by taxing authorities. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
I'll read.
Thank you for your
Happy to
service.
trade off. The said Board of Trustees of the Ann Arbor District Library, the library, has given due reflection to the budget and operational requirements of the library as to the 2023-2024 fiscal year. The said Board of Trustees is desirous of providing for the appropriate certification of operational millage relative to the library. The board resolves as follows. That as to the 2023-2024 fiscal year of the Ann Arbor District Library, and as to that portion of said library within City of Ann Arbor, and that portion of the library within the territory, townships, or areas outside of the City of Ann Arbor, the voted millage for library operational purposes shall be the amount of 1.8228 mills. 2, that the foregoing amounts are levied by the Ann Arbor District Library, and the Secretary of the Board of Trustees is authorized and directed to report the same as the library tax levy to the proper assessing officers of the appropriate agencies, and the Secretary may provide copies of this resolution when requested by an appropriate agency. 3, that the amounts certified are essential for the fiscal year of the Ann Arbor District Library commencing July 1, 2023, except as subsequently altered or amended by appropriate certification. 4, that a certified copy of this resolution may be issued as though the original with the certification provided. 5, that all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded.
Thank you, Jim. So do we have any explanation or thing like, or this is pretty straightforward?
No, this is to authorize the millage rate, and then this is what enables us to fill out the L4029 document that then we send to all of the townships, the 7 townships, which have part of the library district and the City of Ann Arbor, and then they tell the county, and the county helps with the tax assessment.
And this mill rate is determined by, like, what we're allowed to charge by the.
Yes, so when the voters established the district library in 1996, they approved up to 2 mills. And then each year when the, basically the growth of the tax base is higher than the growth of inflation, there's a Headley rollback fraction. The Headley Amendment basically is to control the rate at which revenue increases for property tax funded organizations. So over the years, it's been ticked down a little bit. And one of the things is it can't ever go back up. So we are now, this is the maximum that we can levy, 1.8228 mils. And just to put that in perspective, for someone with a home of $200,000 of taxable value, that would be $360 a year to fund. And that's a $200,000 home or a market value of $400,000. And that is what we are able to levy. And that will come with the summer taxes. The library only collects summer tax. We are not on the winter tax. And for residents of the city of Ann Arbor, that represents just a little under 3% of their overall tax burden that goes to the library.
Yeah, actually, I appreciate that additional detail because I like as much as attention as I pay to these things, it's very confusing. So it's always good to have a refresher on how that works and to understand the contribution we're asking the community to give. Okay, any other discussion on the millage? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes. Thank you. And the next item on the agenda, the last resolution, to adopt the 2023-2024 budget as line item budget and compliance of disbursements.
Maybe we should go around and read this one. It's a really long.
Oh, yeah.
Just need a motion.
Yes, so can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Second.
Okay, shall we round robin this one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I will, we do the whereases too?
Yes.
So I'll start with the whereases, and then we can go to the left, paragraph by paragraph. So whereas on an annual basis, the board adopts an operating budget for the library, and whereas the Michigan Department of Treasury's Uniform Accounting Procedures Manual includes the following requirements for approval of disbursements.
All disbursements must be approved by the legislative body prior to disbursement unless addressed otherwise in the charter. The legislative body may establish a formal policy to authorize payments prior to approval to avoid finance or late charges and to pay appropriated amounts and payroll, including related payroll taxes and withholdings. This policy must be very limited, and a list of payments made prior to approval must be presented to the legislative body for approval.
Now therefore be it resolved that 1, appropriations by the board as the legislative body of the library, the board hereby appropriates for fiscal year 2023-2024 the total amount of $20,639,000 for the expenditure categories set forth in the budget.
Disbursements for payroll and related payroll taxes and withholdings, as provided by the Uniform Accounting Procedures Manual of the Department of Treasury, the Director of the Library, the Deputy Director of the Library, the Associate Directors of the Library, HR Manager, or Finance Manager of the Library, each as authorized officer, are hereby authorized to provide the disbursement of library funds for payroll, including related payroll taxes and withholdings, provided such disbursements are within the budgeted amounts set forth in the approved budget.
3, disbursements for recurring expenses that are necessary to avoid finance of late charges, as provided by the Uniform Accounting Procedures Manual of the Department of Treasury. Each authorized officer is hereby authorized to provide for the disbursement of library funds for payments that are recurring expenses and are necessary to avoid finance or late charges, such as payments for utilities, equipment leases, and similar expenses, provided such disbursements are within the budgeted amounts set forth from the approved budget.
For disbursements for appropriated amounts, as provided by the Uniform Accounting Procedures Manual of the Department of Treasury, each authorized officer is hereby authorized to provide for the disbursement of library funds for expenditures that have been previously appropriated by the board pursuant to paragraph number 1 of this resolution, provided such disbursements are within the budgeted amounts set forth in the approved budget.
5, presentation of disbursements to the library board. All disbursements made pursuant to the authority of this resolution must be presented to the library board for approval at a subsequent board meeting.
6, limitation of disbursements to $33,000. Notwithstanding any provision to the contrary in this resolution, no authorized officer shall be allowed to approve any single expenditure in excess of $33,000 unless that expenditure has been previously approved in a resolution by the library board or in an agreement authorized by the library board.
7, requirement for dual signatures. Nothing in this resolution shall be construed as modifying the current library board policy that requires 2 authorized signatures on all checks, excluding payroll checks, in the amount of $2,500 or more.
8, prior resolutions. All resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution are hereby rescinded.
Good work, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. So any further discussion?
I have a couple of questions. The one is about 6, which is the limit, and given all the fluctuations in cost of goods, is 33,000 still?
Yes, it's fine.
Seems reasonable.
It's a fine, I mean, it's something that we'll look at each year.
Yeah.
But it's a reasonable place for the line to be between something routine and not routine, while also understanding that that doesn't apply if you've previously approved the purchase.
Exactly.
So it's like, so long as the board has taken an action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7, I mean, we're moving towards a check-free system.
The signatures are not necessarily pen on paper.
Yeah.
So it's like, this will cover the digital approval of checks through a system when it's not actual. It still is going to need to be required. The dispersal will still be required to be approved by 2 people.
Does that impact, though, the use of purchasing cards, which is a new phenomenon?
No, because those are going to be it's the same as all the rest of this purchasing, where you have approved those purchases when you appropriated the budget. That's what this whole resolution is to say, is that the state's desire to have y'all approve every single bag of pipe cleaners is addressed by us saying, well, you've approved a materials budget. And so long as we are spending within that materials budget and we are sending you the disbursements in the packet every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that, it should be able to cover P cards as well, but we haven't started exploring with our accountants or auditors other than the, can we do this? And the answer is yes.
Well, because I wondered, like, if you're buying a material now, or if you were buying a material then that was over $2,500, 2 people internally would have to sign off on that check. If you have a purchasing card,
the limits on that are probably going to be like under $500.
Yeah.
Okay.
The card itself is going to be a very small amount.
I'm just wondering. Yeah,
It's
I'm just
for
thinking
pipe cleaners.
Got it.
You
Okay.
know?
That's
maybe gas for the maintenance team,
Okay.
that type of thing. So they will be nowhere near that threshold that anyone will be able to spend on their card.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, anybody else?
20 million, that is a huge
Yes.
budget. And really, the gravity of that just really lands when you say it out loud.
Yeah.
So we're stewarding a lot here.
And when I was doing some analysis about, forecasting out costs, and it's not that long ago, it was $11 million.
Yeah.
It's really just the health of the community economically, as far as the property values, which works out well for us at the moment, on this side of it. But we're very fortunate to be able to have the support of the community and such a vibrant library. Big bang for the buck.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the resolution passes. Thank you all. So now we are moving on to citizens' comments. Anybody like to speak?
Anything on the YouTube stream, guys? Just make sure. Okay.
Okay. Received nothing? Okay. Seeing nobody, we will move on to adjournment. Thank you all very much.